Hello, District 100. My name's Louisa. I'm a DTM and a past international director based up here in Vancouver, Canada. And I'm also a club extension chair currently. And I'm going to share today with you a few thoughts and ideas on how to find club leads. First of all, the district mission is, repeat after me, to build new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. Yes. And so often the district leaders put all their energy and focus into supporting the existing clubs and maybe not quite as much tender loving care into building new clubs. And part of that is because it feels overwhelming. It's something that you're maybe not familiar with doing. It seems like it's a long slog to do it. But in fact, if you can find the right lead with an already pre-qualified group of people that could benefit from Toastmasters, it's rather easy, especially if it's done in teamwork. Would you agree with that, Angel?
Yes, I would.
And there we go. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is talk about, well, what are we looking for? And there's different types of clubs. We have community clubs, and generally as a ballpark, 1,000 people in that same grouping. So that could be a geographic grouping. It might be a language group, a culture, religious, maybe a particular hobby. I know, Angel, you're in a club to do with gaming, Dungeons and Dragons style people that like to get together with that hobby. Maybe it's a lifestyle. Maybe it's something to do with anything that you've got at least 10,000 people that are in that same group. And 10,000 is a ballpark, but it seems to hold true to make sure that the club is really truly sustainable. If that community has got some sort of a grouping administratively that has a list of people, maybe there's, for example, I started a club for French-speaking people in Vancouver. We affiliated ourselves with l'Alliance Française, which is a nonprofit association that helps with the culture of French, and Francophones, Francophiles tend to group there as a community. They were able to lend us their meeting space and also promote through their newsletters and to their community of more than 10,000 people that speak French and want to be part of that cultural group. And so there you've got an opportunity for a viable club. If the community is a lot smaller than that, yeah, it's doable. You could find 20 people, but could you sustain that for 20 plus years? Maybe, maybe not. It's always better to have a larger group to be marketing from and to be a little bit more organized with what the niche is and what you're looking for. One of the most popular ways to build a club is to go through company clubs. And I know you met with Pat Johnson this week, and I would say a ballpark is at least 300 employees, ideally in the same building or location. However, you can also successfully open up for a company that has 300, 500, 10,000 employees spread out across the country or around the world and do it that way as well. Ideally, if they're able to meet face to face, it's even more powerful than meeting only online. But I've found that online company clubs have also been awesome to connect people across departments, across divisions. The company that I work for has got an online club. We started as in person and now we're online. They have about 1,500 people in the headquarters and 10,000 employees across the country. So the headquarters has got a club, and now we're working on clubs in other parts of the company, other regional offices or warehouses, etc. Another one that's quite popular are colleges and universities. I would say you'd need at least 500 students, and I'd recommend that you have a certain number of faculty or alumni that are able to be there longer term so that you've got a bit more consistency, because students graduate. That's kind of the purpose of them being there. And so to have a consistent, sustainable club, it's always good to have a few repeat members that continue through the lifetime of the club. And another one, I was talking to Angel about it earlier. I've seen some very successful penitentiary clubs, prison clubs with at least 100 incarcerated people. Once you get the funding and you have the federal or state penitentiary administrators in favor of this idea, these clubs are hugely successful, and they will build up to 50 members that are consistently doing the program. Some of the prison clubs I saw in Oregon in person were phenomenal. They were doing 7 or 8 pathway project speeches every meeting, and some of the clubs were meeting twice a week in order to get through all of the excitement for speeches. So those are 4 different types of clubs. Angel, did you have any other ideas of other types of clubs? I think those are them, right?
Yeah, I think we covered it. I'm
Yeah.
trying to oh, government clubs.
Oh, yeah. Government clubs would be very similar to the company in terms of criteria, at least 300 employees. They also exist what we call open corporate clubs, which basically are community clubs, but they're using the facility of a company, and some of the members of the staff of that company are participating in the club. So those are the basic ones. So that's what we're looking for. Now, there's 2 types of leads, in my opinion. Leads that flow in through Toastmasters International that are already relatively pre-qualified because the people have contacted Toastmasters saying, yes, I want to find a club. Yes, I want to start a club. And often those can be qualified and turned into leads and converted fairly quickly, especially if they're corporate clubs that fit the criteria. If they don't fit the criteria, it could be just a person wanting to find another Toastmasters club, pretty easy to redirect them. And maybe it's a club that's not quite viable, that doesn't have the 300 plus members in the company. Maybe there's opportunities to work with them in combination with a community club in that same area. Or maybe you just do a speech craft and then encourage people to join the local clubs nearest their homes in the community clubs. But what we're going to talk about today are the leads that we build ourselves through our networks of people. And everyone in this call, everybody listening to this, you all know people that could benefit from Toastmasters. And you're all part of different types of groupings, whether it's at work, maybe it's to do with bowling leagues, or maybe it's to do with your culture or your religion, or who you are as a lifestyle. There's opportunities to come up with ideas, and that's what we're going to do today. So the first thing I want to talk about is what type of clubs there are. So the corporate clubs are definitely, I think, the easiest to open, because if you've got corporate buy-in from the high up managers and you've got a budget already assigned and it's encouraged by the leadership of that company, then it's fairly easy to get the people to start and to charter. I had a call that came in from Toastmasters 3 weeks ago, and the lady says, yeah, we had a club a few years ago. It closed during COVID. We're thinking of restarting. I'm like, great. Here's the list of the people that were members in 2020. Here's the steps we met. And she says, well, the company is ready and willing to pay. And our senior vice president of marketing and HR are both the 2 senior partners. It was a tax firm, are eager to have a club in our building, and we want to have it primarily hybrid, but mostly in person. A week passes, and I say to her, how's it going? And she's like, oh yeah, it's coming along. We're going to promote it in the internal newsletter, etc. And the next thing I know, this week, she called me, and we're going to have our meeting on the 28th of February. So next Wednesday. And she says, it's still growing. I can't believe it, but we've already got 58 people registered to come to the Kickstarter meeting. 58. And that's not including the next couple of days as more people trickle in. So it's highly likely that this club is going to charter. But you may also have high attrition because unless you've got executive champions that really believe in it, and you've got your mentors that support the club through their transition in their first 6 months, there may be a lot of people that drop off or leave the company, etc. So you are always needing to water the seeds and tend the plants as you plant seeds for corporate clubs. That's the first one. The second one I want to talk about are the community clubs. For me, I find these are more slow burn to open, but if you can find a good niche and build a legacy culture where everybody feels that they belong and they're welcome and they're getting the value, they're seeing the program work, it's awesome. And here's what I've been advised by a number of people on the international level. They've said, not all community clubs are going to start quickly, but what you can do is kickstart it, get up to 15, 16, 18, 19 even, and then run a speechcraft for their first 8 weeks. Charge them a little bit more to cover the cost of speechcraft, or maybe the district subsidizes that. Have them continuously recruiting from friends into the community club at every meeting, and then charter. So yeah, it might not have chartered within a month like you're ideally hoping, but at least it's not something where people are dropping out because they're not finding the value. At least once you start the club, those members, if you've done the full 8-week program and they've all had a chance to speak at every meeting, they're walking away with not level 1, but level 2 in pathways, and they really have kickstarted their pathways journey and their Toastmasters journey. They have a good sense of what the program's about, and they've already bonded and made some community. We're kickstarting a club next week. On Monday, we've got a club of entrepreneurs, and we've decided that we've got a location, we've got a room, we've got a core group of about 12 people that have expressed interest. We're now promoting with Facebook, Instagram, and on Meetup, etc., and through word of mouth, asking everybody that's signed up so far to bring 2 more entrepreneur friends. And we're hoping that we can charter almost immediately, but we're going to start with a speechcraft program, and we've taken that club with a little twist. Every speech is about your business. Every speech is to do with entrepreneurial journey. Every project is to do with your business. And I'm hoping that people through the breaks will be able to network and really learn and grow, not just with Toastmasters, but with their business, and that we've identified the what's in it for me. So that's the community clubs. I did mention the prison clubs. Do a little bit of research to figure out, are there prisons or penitentiaries that are large enough? Then from there, meet with the state and federal people that are in charge of the prison communities, and you can work from there. A number of districts have opened up quite a few of these, and they definitely have to be face-to-face. You're definitely going to need ongoing mentors and supporters that can help them with the programs. But man, these people are so dedicated, and it really changes their lives. You have very high participation, and their retention is really incredible. Also, a lot of the people that have done Toastmasters when they're incarcerated have had a lot more success in real life once they're on parole and in the real world. So it's amazing. And finally, the schools. I've seen a few schools where it's worked brilliantly because the school has paid all or a part of the dues, and it works really well. One Toastmasters club we had 60 members, the students, and they were in a 2-year technology program. They were divided into 4 groups of 15, depending on their level of English and their public speaking and confidence levels. And they were able to go through the program during those 2 years. And what the school found was it dramatically improved the international students' ability to get jobs and ability to get into internship programs, etc. And so that really helped. And what they did is they tied it directly into their school curriculum. So this was a course you had to attend, you had to participate. As you participated, if you took on club officer roles or specific roles during meetings, you got a certain number of points that all added up towards your grade. So it was really a matter of the more you got put into it, the more you got out for their grade, and it was hugely successful. The challenge with schools is that students graduate. And so one thing that I've seen is to have staff integrated into the club, or assistant professors or administration people, or you can also invite graduated students to continue as alumni and be part of the club. There's a lot of ways around it. So those are the 4 types. And like I said, the government ones are very similar to corporate. Okay, so how do we find these lists? Where do we figure it out? One of the best things is Google. I'm Googleicious. I'm sure you are too. Some of the things I've Googled is population size, figuring out major industries, who's the biggest employer. You can find top employers lists and see. You can also look at the fastest growing companies within your region, and languages, the population base, if there's specific cultures, religions, and brainstorm off the top of your head if you write in the particular town. Now, Angel, you were saying there's 88 different towns or cities within District 100? So maybe
Yeah,
choose some of,
it's all in a very congested area too.
yeah, which is perfect because then everybody can walk to their meetings in theory, right? So I think that if you can pick some of the larger ones, or ones where people have connections to it. So if it's a jurisdiction that you live in, you might research those ones, pick one, and kind of narrow it in to figure out the niche. But the big data lists can drive a good direction on how to qualify them. The second thing that you can do is look on Google Maps. I love Google Maps. There are other similar softwares that you can use as well. Look for big buildings. Look for companies, colleges, hospitals, big institutions. Are you missing membership within any of the larger towns or suburbs of that particular area? Google Maps can help you to identify that. Look at where you've got clubs in your district. Look where there's holes. A few blocks, probably a 20-minute walk from my home, is Lululemon International Headquarters. Do they have a club? No. Do I know people from that? Potentially, yes. There's connections, there's opportunity. It fits the criteria. So it would be a very easy, natural lead to figure that out. And we'll do that a little bit later. You also want to look for patterns in your division. Find the gaps. Are there no clubs meeting on the weekends? I know in our district, we don't have a Sunday club. So I'm thinking we should start the Sunday Toastmasters Club and have that promoted throughout the district, make it a hybrid or online club so that people can all attend. There's no clubs on Sundays. Why not? Maybe there's a pattern of all evening clubs or all noontime clubs, and you could look at morning clubs or a noontime club on the weekend, for example. And then niche clubs. What have you got within your division? Is there a humorous speaking club? Is there an advanced club? Is there an opportunity for entrepreneurs? And then you could fill in the hole and figure out that from your list. And finally, corporations, you can use LinkedIn to find your contacts in the company size, key executive contacts. And what are you looking for with those key executives? You want to know who you can get buy-in from at the VP director of HR level. Maybe they're from learning and development, maybe people and culture, or top executive. Maybe there's a top executive that's within the Toastmasters community clubs that actually could see a club in his company. Okay, and then for the colleges, who do you get buy-in from? Who are we looking for on LinkedIn? The head of the school or a key director. It could be student services. Maybe it's somebody associated with the student union and the social activities, or maybe their alumni association can point you in the right direction. You want to try and get tuition support if you can. Be ready for graduation, and you want to do the recruiting timing with the semesters. We are just starting to launch a new club that is to do with a college. And what we did is they have an intake of 600 new students in January, and they take in about 800 new students in September. So at those time periods, make sure you've got a display booth and banners and brochures and a Kickstarter meeting promoted and posters, and that you're in the digital advertising of the activities that are happening on campus, so you can speak to the students directly and kickstart it right now. You don't want to kickstart it at midterms, and you don't want to kickstart it during final exams. So there's a little bit of rhythm and timing with the college clubs. And for the penitentiaries, federal and state penitentiary officials, you can get the buy-in from the warden, find funding through the community, find volunteers from the community. You can have a massively successful kickstart. Now, once you have your leads in hand, you've identified the leads and prospects, which is that first, I guess, octagon or sextagon shape at the top there. You're going to then want to contact and qualify them. Then you want to present to them the information and gather the information and plan out your Kickstarter meeting, and then have the Kickstarter, address the questions and concerns, fill in the charter paperwork, and then follow up with a mentor, etc. And I know that Angel will be bringing you through all those steps once you get to that phase with your club. So now what I'd like to do is to share with you on LinkedIn how I'm going to work with Lululemon, for example. Angel, can you see LinkedIn loading on my screen? Yes.
No, I can't see it yet.
Okay, so I'm going to stop share and reshare. Okay, so this is my LinkedIn, and I'm going to type in Lulu, and already it's coming up. I'm just going to say the company. And once we go to the company, I can see the people that I'm first level contacts with. There's quite a few here. And I can also see the people that I'm second level contacts. And then if you were to take a quick look, you know what, I'm just going to put the first level contact people here. All right, so Angel, are you able to read the titles of the different people?
It's small, but I think I can.
Okay. Of the list that you see on the screen right now, who do you think would be a good person to contact?
Oh, that's funny. Number one, because
Right.
they're in charge of leadership training and development.
Yeah, exactly. And she's in Whistler. I'm pretty sure she's working remote and not in the Vancouver office, because it's a 3-hour commute from Whistler. But I met her many years ago when she was at a different company, and there she is now. But let's say that I'm not getting through to Tracy. Are there other people that I might want to see? And you can see people also viewed. You can see other people. Many of them, in this case, are with Lulu, but some of them may be people that worked for Tracy in the past, or are also a vice president of learning at another company. So there's also lots of great leads that you can get down here. So if I were to message Tracy, and she's a vice president, so that's fairly high up, she may or may not get back to me. But if she doesn't, I've got Senior Vice President of People and Culture. We've got a VP of People and Culture to do with operations. There's a Director of Learning and Leadership and Talent Activation. Well, Kate Miller might be our person, right? I'm not going to go to the CEO because that's a little obnoxious and he's probably not going to answer at all. But, you know, I think Kate might be a good direction to go. Do I know Kate? No, but I'm a second level contact because I'm first level with Tracy. So you can look through your first and second level people and from there. Now you can also see if there's contact information. Sometimes people like here, she's actually got her email there. If you're first level contacts, then you'll be able to see that. In some cases, if you download My Network and have it search for a particular thing, you can even sometimes get the phone numbers as well. So the other thing that we can do is we can go down on Tracy's thing here, and we're just going to click on, she works at Lululemon, so we're going to click on the icon here. Boom. We want to learn more, don't we? So here is the corporate page for Lululemon, and you can see they've put a ton more information, and it's linking here to the career for the career page for their company. But you could also have looked at the careers. Sorry. If you look about, and you can see, okay, this is the industry. They have 10,000 plus employees. 23,000 of them are associated members of LinkedIn. They're in technical apparel, so we can learn a little bit about the company and what they do. And you can also, they've got a lot of initiatives and things that are in here. You can find out what drives the culture of the company, do a little bit of research here. And then here you can see exactly where they're located. So this is the location. And sorry, it's taken me to Bing, but this is the location, and I actually live right here. So it's walking distance. I could even go over there and meet up with them to get it going. So this will help me because I now have the information. I've learned who to contact, and from there, the world's your oyster. So that is those are my guidances or ideas on some ways to build clubs.